largest catalog of data describing the impact of space travel on the human body has been created. Man's presence in space is becoming more and more visible. There are constantly astronauts in orbit aboard the International Space Station or the Chinese Tiangong Station. There are plans to travel to the Moon or Mars. We travel more and more often into space without fully knowing how it affects our bodies. Large-scale research on the impact of space flights on the body shows what space travelers have to deal with and what the effects of microgravity and cosmic radiation are, especially during long-term presence in space. How does space travel affect the human body? The answer to this question will be crucial not only for astronauts who want to go to Mars, but also for the growing space tourism industry. In September 2021, 4 amateur astronauts took off from Florida on a SpaceX rocket on a journey to Earth's orbit. The flight of the Inspiration 4 mission was the first entirely civilian flight into space without the participation of representatives of NASA or other space agencies. The space tourists spent 3 days in orbit, at an altitude of 575 kilometers, in SpaceX's Dragon capsule, then landed in the Atlantic. The journey was entirely controlled by onboard computer systems and supervised by a team of experts on Earth. Since humans first appeared in space, the impact that being in this environment has on the body has been studied. However, these studies concerned professional astronauts, people trained for years and with special predispositions to fly into space. The Inspiration 4 crew, consisting of Jared Isaacman, Haley Arsenault, Sean Proctor, and Chris Semrosky, completed 6 months of intensive training prepared by SpaceX, but it cannot be compared to the training of professional astronauts. The Inspiration 4 flight provided an opportunity to examine the impact of the space environment on the bodies of ordinary people with various health problems. The results of the analyses were published in a series of scientific articles published in Nature. Before the flight, amateur astronauts were thoroughly examined and the necessary samples of blood, saliva, urine, and other tissues were collected from them. They also underwent cognitive tests. The Inspiration 4 crew collected samples while in orbit, and after returning to Earth, they were thoroughly examined again. Armed with this unique data set, scientists analyzed how cosmic radiation and microgravity affected their bodies. More than 100 scientific institutions from 25 countries around the world were involved in the work. This resulted in 44 publications, most of which are based on data from the Inspiration 4 flight. The published Spaceomics and Medical Atlas, SOMA, includes studies of the flight participants' genomes, their microbiomes, transcriptomes, mRNA produced from their genes, and proteomes, their set of proteins. This is the largest catalog of data detailing the impact of space travel on the human body. Of course, with data from only 4 people, it is difficult to draw clear conclusions about the impact of space flights on civilians. Where possible, scientists compared their results with data from astronauts who worked with NASA or JAXA. They also used data collected from raising mice and cell cultures in space, exposed to radiation or grown in microgravity. These studies show that just a few days in orbit can cause immune cell dysfunction, dehydration, and thinking problems, but most of these problems disappear after returning to Earth. However, some of the changes persisted for at least 3 months after landing, suggesting a longer recovery period. Most data on the health effects of spaceflight to date have been collected from white men aged 30 and older. In addition, many of them had a military background and related training. Until now, it was unclear how other groups of people would respond to the unique stresses of spaceflight, including exposure to radiation and microgravity. Studies of professional astronauts over recent years have shown that being in space increases the long-term risk of developing cancer due to exposure to cosmic radiation, muscle atrophy, and bone loss due to living in microgravity, and changes in vision. One conclusion of the SOMA study is that the same health effects experienced by professional astronauts on their long expeditions appear in space tourists who spend only a few days in orbit. The new analyses could also have implications for long-term space exploration beyond the protective cocoon of Earth's magnetic field, which blocks some cosmic radiation. We don't fully understand all the threats yet. That's why it's so important for early space tourists to participate in research, says Amy McGuire of Baylor College of Medicine. One of the studies published as part of the SOMA package confirms earlier NASA research involving twin brothers Scott and Mark Kelly. Data collected from the Inspiration 4 crew showed that the immune system was on high alert. The stress of spaceflight affected the transcription of immune system genes, possibly reducing the body's ability to defend itself against viruses. Another study documented lengthening of the telomeres of passengers on the Inspiration 4 flight, which was also shown in twin studies. Telomeres are the final fragments of a chromosome whose function is to protect it from damage during copying. The aging process shortens telomeres, but longer than normal telomeres are also not healthy because they are associated with a higher risk of cancer. Analyses also suggest that men and women react differently to being in space, which may influence the selection of crews for space flights. Gene activity and immune response were more disturbed in men than in women, and recovery in men took longer after returning to Earth. One of the proteins involved was fibrinogen, which plays a key role in blood clotting. Women also seemed to be less affected by vision problems, but more likely to develop cardiovascular disease and cancer. Radiation is a big problem, especially during long-duration space flights. It can damage cells and accelerate the development of certain diseases in a short time. One study found that mice exposed to the equivalent of 2.5 years of radiation in space, which mimics spaceflight outside the Earth's magnetic field, suffered permanent kidney damage. Analyses have shown that the conditions in space cause remodeling of the kidneys. Specific renal tubules responsible for fine-tuning the calcium and salt balance showed signs of shrinking. Scientists also investigated a possible way to prevent some radiation damage by suppressing the function of microRNA's short RNA molecules that can silence genes and are considered markers of cosmic radiation damage. Scientists developed microRNA inhibitors, called antagomers, and applied them to cell cultures from blood samples from the Inspiration 4 crew and Japanese astronauts. Treated cells suffered less radiation damage than control samples. However, scientists are still far from developing a therapy.